All right, it's time to take these covers off. As you can see here behind me, I still have all these covers on my plants. We had 8 days of temps that only a few hours in a couple of days got above freezing. And I'm talking about it getting down to -5. And some say actually in parts of the county here, it actually got down to -7. We had snow. Here we had snow probably about 7 inches. Knoxville, which is one of the larger cities closest to us, they got 9 inches. And that snow, which normally here in the South, when it snows, it melts off, it goes away. Well, this one didn't. It stayed here on the ground for better than 7 days before it finally was gone. But it was so cold that even with the sun shining on it, what little bit melt was just freezing right back to ice. All right, let's get busy and take these covers off and see what kind of damage we might have on my plants. Certainly is a lot of condensation on these frost covers. Let's look for our damage now. Right now, I don't see any damage on these cabbages or this dino or Tuscany kale, whichever you want to call it. But definitely on the sprouting broccoli, I do see some damage on some of the leaves. Primarily, it was the leaves that were touching the actual frost cover itself. And I knew that I needed to make an adjustment there, and I should have already made it. But I'll have to say it's still producing little sprouts of broccoli, and this one, if you look down in there, is full of little sprouts. I'm going to put it to good use. Now over here, I was afraid that it might have killed these pak choys, and I'm not eating those. Those are kind of a little sacrificial plant right now because there are a few snails in here and they tend to prefer that. However, I have seen that they're starting to move on to some of the older leaves of the Swiss chard, and I've been picking that and eating it. Same thing with this Ursula kale. I've been picking that. Well, you can really see I've been picking if I get down there closer. And my little radishes, they survive just fine. Looks to me like I might have a few in here, I do, that I'm going to need to pull out. They're ready. This bed of lettuce has just about all been eat, but I have over here in the front planted some new plants, and they did fine. There is damage here, but that's not frost damage. That's just because these things are so old. I should have already have eaten those, but as I said, I planted more than I could eat. And that little plant there, that's what the Landis winter lettuce does. I'd never had it actually head up like that, but that is really great. My onions are doing fine. I wouldn't have expected them to hurt. And then I have a bunch of lettuces that I planted for the second cropping. Most of my herbs did just fine. I see some of the leaves died back a little bit on that parsley, but it'll come right back out, and that oregano is still thriving. So, I would have to say that the dual frost covers, and that, to be honest, I really don't think we'd have had the damage on the kale had I had 2 frost covers over it. But I'm going to have to pick up some more. And I'm still amazed that this thing's still alive. The leaves on the deal that was touching the frost cover here on the outer tops has some damage, but I am amazed that I'm able to grow deal through the winter in this thing. I love deal. I've actually used this to make some wonderful deal dip. I've also used it when I have grilled some fish. I like to take wild caught salmon fillets and put them in a grill pan, cover them with a little lemon juice and some of the chopped fresh dill, and it's such a wonderful taste. But it's all done now. I'm going to break off some of these damaged leaves, and I'll give those as an offering to the little ladies, my chickens out there in the coop. Feels like a spring day out here. I'm absolutely amazed. And as you can see, as I said the other day when I uncovered this stuff did not get bothered by the Arctic cold. And there's always a battle with weeds. There's always a little weed here, a little weed there to pull out. But that lettuce is looking really fantastic over there. Oh, it's getting a little wimp there. That's funny. It's dry here, and it's actually, well, that could have been hurt by the cold weather, because I can see some brown on that. But it's dry there, yet until I can get out here and get some ditching done around this greenhouse, this corner is going to flood, because this is solid rock under this thing. There's hardly any dirt at all. That's why I decided to go, fortunately I decided to go with the raised beds. And this older lettuce is just about done its due. But I do have young, fresh lettuce plants planted. I do need to get out here and cut some of that deal back, so that at least cut the parts that were frosted on a little bit during the Arctic blast. And I do need, while I'm out here, to go ahead and pull some of these radishes. I've got some out here that are really pretty. I don't want them to get too big. If they get too big, well, that was a little bit little. I'll put it over here. Put it over here in a little container that I take and throw to the chickens. But I had the 3 varieties. White-tipped round radishes. I had the little, I believe they were called cherry radishes. And then I have the longer French radish. But I'll get out here and get some more of those picked. There's no need for me to pick more than I'm going to eat unless they start getting big. And as you can see, I've really been enjoying eating on the Swiss chard and on the kale. So life is good here on the homestead. It's just so rewarding. And I did come out the other day and take these leaves off of the sprouting broccolis. But guys, I can't stress enough how wonderful it is to grow sprouting broccoli if you like broccoli. I want you to look at the little heads forming there. And they start out that small, and they'll grow up and get larger. And it's my Saturday night to host the family for what we call Saturday night cards. And when the family comes over, I intend to use some of this broccolini, as they call it, the sprouting broccoli, to make some cheddar broccoli soup. That'll be our first course. Will be a bowl of soup before we have our meal. Can hardly wait to have fun with the family. There is nothing more important in this world than our family. Family is such a gift from God.